Okay, Abusuya, I have former Chief Justice Williams Atuguba. Abusuya, where we can. Papa no aba aganti interview bi aba be robeshe eye NPP eye sa omo demonstration na omo kokoye. That's a demonstration na omo kokoye no papa na kan some from papa. Or say NPP for na Afenyo&NPP ne nko for minority no. Omo ye hypocrite, and that demonstration was nonsense. Omo to no Akuffo Addo ewo power and 8 years of tenure no owo power no mo ahu de course ewo Supreme Court na aden na John Dramani Mahama reset judiciary o ma sha ase pese omode efi eka papa na busuya Atuguba aba be cancel papa or the NPP4 atoto omo level na Chief Justice Atuguba mpo de wa ye ne pasa amome yanko na yanko tie ni interview na organte ye me dem ase.
Interesting that part of, I mean, this whole exercise is supposed to be held in camera.
Yeah.
There should be secrecy covering it. Yeah. Unfortunately, in this case, a lot of the issues that were supposed to be held in secret is already out there in the public, including even the petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. Interestingly, some aspect of the petition went to former President Akuffo Addo. The matter was referred to the Council of State. It was dismissed outright. Now, it has found favor with the current president. That is what people think, that this may be politically influenced rather than establishing a case of impropriety against the Chief Justice.
Well, let's look at it. See, this country, people like to pretend a lot, and that's my problem with Ghanaians. What necessarily shows that what Akuffo Addo did was without politics. But what is inherently non-political there? What are the sound reasons that we know that would justify what were the petitions he dealt with? People don't deal with those. I would just, I know how this country operates. I don't move anywhere, but I follow things, and I think about Ghana a lot. I mean, political polarization. Somebody's camp does something, right or wrong, because it's their camp, is perfect. Another one does it, same thing, even maybe better. Oh, no, everything is wrong. That's what's happening in this country. I tell you plainly, that's my assessment of things. And it doesn't help us. The only good thing is that the ordinary people are beginning to, stand up to their rights, to read through situations and take proper decisions concerning political, actors. That is a saving grace. If it is sustained, that can help, and I mean, all this hula baloo, I don't know. They should have marshaled the facts pertaining to the Akuffo Addo dismissal, the type of petitions. And we compare with this and see, then we can see our way clear. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. And it's difficult to happen until everything is resolved. But Ghana being what it is, everything is supposed to be secret. Actually, the provision, when you read the provision on the proceedings, it gives the impression that it is an actual investigation that should be secret. But the Supreme Court in Ajechum said it applies from the very beginning.
From the very beginning.
Up to the end.
But in this case, that secrecy that should be expected has been exploited.
Yeah. In what way?
I mean, people are speaking to it, even when the suspended Chief Justice wrote to the president, expressing her unhappiness about the fact that the president had received the petition. It took days, and she was unaware of the content, yet it had been forwarded to the Council of State. She wrote to the president, it got leaked in the media. And so the secrecy that should covered the entire process has been abused in a way that for a lot of people is unacceptable. And that is what gives credence to people's assertion that this may be staged after all.
Even the very first petition that this constitution took the same, and even was more publicized than the person who wrote the petition, I think. The court faulted that. And they were saying everything should be secret from the beginning to the end. And forwarding the petition to the Council of State is in line with the Constitution. But that's what the Constitution directs the President to do. And that's not a leakage. It's part of the constitutional process.
But sometimes when you hear
Yes.
government operatives
Yes.
speak to the matter, is that even when the petition went out of the 31 membership, 30 voted that there's a case for the Chief Justice. The only person who abstained, according to government, some government appointees, the only person who abstained is leadership, Sophia Akuffo. And she abstained because of conflict issues. So to the extent that even what was deliberated in camera is now a matter of public discourse.
Yeah, so that's why I said there's a lot of pretense in our national life. How did that happen? This was sent to the council. How did people get to know what happened there? And it just shows that people go about nosing into these things, spying. The very people complain. May be complaining, maybe those complicit. I've seen that these petitions contents have been splashed on social media.
Right.
And,
Even the Chief Justice's response.
Yes. Yes. Was also splashed.
Is it right?
Well, it's not right, but who causes it? Are you saying that is the President who caused these publications or the Council of State? I mean, you are the media, you can gather that evidence for us. Who caused these leakages? System. Our political system is jaundiced. They spy on each other. You know, there are activities linked to each other. I see these things on social media. Who is behind those things? Some of them, they themselves, you know. And in any case, talk about the Chief Justice was given a copy. And she also leaked it to the media or something. The President complained that she...
This was the letter she wrote to the President. And even the President complained that even before he got it, it was already in the media.
Yeah, it's not part of the process. And who leaked it? Was it the President? And even, I don't know. You see, these days, I'm afraid of taking my information from the social media because you can find completely distorted facts. I don't know how people are able to do those things. Let me just give you some example. I saw on social media that on May 5th, I granted an interview to, was it your Joy or some TV station? And I was saying that when the President is removed, when the Speaker is removed, why can't so. May 5th.
May 5th yesterday.
Yeah. That publication is there. Look at that. It's the kind of thing that happens. And us, the publications by some of your counterparts, the media does that, you know. And you talk of secrecy. I don't know whether it's true, but I read on social media that the Chief Justice was appealing to certain foreign powers, Canada, UK, US, also to
intervene.
Yes. Is that part of the secrecy process?
But in view
and those criticizing, what have they said about that? That's what I hate about this country. We look at one side and fault it. Your side does the same thing. You've seen nothing. It's correct. Nonsense. So,
but personally, where you sit, do you trust in the credibility of the process in view of all the issues around it?
Oh,
the MPP poured on the streets yesterday.
Yes.
Describing President Mahama as a tyrant, as a dictator who is seeking to, to collapse an arm of government and facilitate, a third term in office.
Now, look, you are a well-informed journalist. You've been following the operations of the government since '92. I mean, will you be impressed by such a statement? How were they when they were in office? How did they perform? Transparently? Neutrally? In the interest of the people? Did they do that? What? This is the kind of thing I just hate. Pure hypocrisy. Apart from hypocrisy, I mean, the exclusion of honesty, of public interest in our political space is very, very troubling. Very troubling. Saying these things before the elections, when on social media it was a common thing describing the court as
unanimous FC.
Unanimous FC. Was it President Mahama who was doing that? They were in power. When those publications, what steps were they taking? Ken Dapa. What did he say? That's an honest man.
It makes the point that the court should sometimes balance their rulings.
Yes.
In the interest of preserving the security of the country.
Yes, that's an honest man. Are they like that?
But was it right for him to have said so if the court is really implementing the law?
Implementing what law? If they were, what was the cause for him to be apprehensive? Was that the first time courts were in existence and performing? I mean, anxiety doesn't just spring from a vacuum. No. You look at the trend. Public perception, unanimous FC. Was it happening or not?
Today there was a unanimous decision in court.
Yes, but that was peripheral. That was, I think, to exclude Bawumia. That was the only issue. But the more important is 3-2. Now look at the empanelments and see if that panel had not been reconstituted. I think it would have come 3-2. I mean, for how long have you not had unanimous until?
That's why I never have issues with that and say that the repaneling resulted in the decision going against the applicants.
Yes.
If the old panel had sat, they would have affirmed the applicants' relief, seeking that the president, is enchanted from suspending the chief justice.
No, that's troubling. Why are they so sure? Are they the panel? Why are they so sure? That should have gone that way. That's the unanimous FC that was playing out. And that should be sustained. That's what they are fighting to sustain. They are wrong.
But does that feed into the public perception that the new addition may be may be working towards a certain political direction?
Oh, now, let's look at it this way. You are the journalist. You just take time and go and get the panels on constitutional cases since these people came to power. And when I'm speaking like this, don't think that I'm for anybody.
Right.
I'm not for anybody.
Of course.
If I were to follow political leanings, I was PFP candidate for Paga China constituency. And that's these people now NPP. I should have been. I don't have time for those things. They don't yield good fruits. That's why I quit politics. Now, so you go, I mean, what is the impression there? So long as Atuguba puts panels that give unanimous decisions in their favor, that is justice, isn't it? If it is valid, it goes ahead and hey. I mean, that's the scenario. That's the scenario. That's pretentious. It's not even pretentious, it is blatantly, I mean, unacceptable. You can't just see the tide of events. Why is it that? Lord, I'm coming.
Yes.
Even the very events happening, you see that there's a deep political element. Why is the NPP and they are championing this cause like that?
They say they are defending democracy.
That's democracy. Because when she's there, it is okay, unanimous panels always in their favor. That's democracy. That's the democracy they want to entrench. I've seen that scanning through the events in the courts. That is rubbish. That is, I mean, I don't know what word to use. You ordain a dictatorship in place. You have been overthrown through the ballot. Your last citadel is the Chief Justice. You are battling. Hey, if this one falls, we are all out. That is what is happening. That's how I see it. I can't be wrong, but that's how I see it.
Then it will appear that our Supreme Court is politicized.
Certainly. Certainly.
But that's not good for a healthy democracy.
Certainly not. And look, the variation of the panel, I would have. Is it? Look, I mean, who didn't vary a panel? There was one, I think it was about, is it, whose case? Opuni or something?
Opuni, yes. At some point, there were issues with the panel.
Yes. Wasn't it varied?
Opuni had issues with the trial judge.
Yes.
Raised issues about his affiliation with the MP.
Yes, yes.
Took the matter even to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
At every stage, he lost.
Yes, yes. And the issue of starting the proceedings afresh, I think, eventually landed in the Supreme Court.
Right.
It's a panel of 5. The matter was virtually ripe for decision. She reconstituted the panel, took her 3, and presided herself. Was that not a re-empanelment? The decision went in favor of these people. Didn't they celebrate it? That is sweet for them. This thing has happened, and when you look at it, you know, I'm a bit naive because my life is more of church and these sort of things. Even when I was on the bench, I was more to the church side. at the time of the unanimous FC, what was happening? Bafuboni, Kulendi, Poman, this man who was coming, Tanko. These were fairly senior judges. How often did they get onto constitutional panels? How often? Why was it so? Were they not members of the Supreme Court? Were they not seniors? And that's what I'm saying. Please do that research for me. Go and get the empanelments on constitutional cases under Torkono. You see the trend. Let's put pretense aside. Let's look at what is good for Ghana and get that done. Until that is done, we keep on moving in circles.
At the court, for example, in a matter that the Member of Parliament for Old Trafford brought before the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Even before they went into the injunction application, his lawyer, former Attorney General Godfrey Dam, had raised issues about the presiding judge, the acting CJ, sitting on the panel, and makes the point that the acting CJ taking part in that decision, obviously on the background that he is a beneficiary of the vacancy created by the absence of the Chief Justice, and for that reason, it was not going to be fair in terms of the determination of the application. And you think he didn't have a case?
Beneficiary, I mean, I would have liked to see further and better particulars about this claim of
because he's now in acting capacity as the Chief Justice. In the event that the suspended Chief Justice is removed, he may likely continue as a substantive Chief Justice. And so a case before him, which borders on the suspended Chief Justice, and he had a decision to make for the position taken by the former Attorney General. He had compromised himself.
Okay, that's...
And that matter was dismissed unanimously anyway.
Well, look at that. That's why I say, let's put pretense aside. And I'm telling you, this country, if we are not able to exercise political poison from our governance system, we'll continue to suffer. Now, let's wait a minute. Before her suspension, when this challenge came, I mean, when the process was commenced for her removal, Alfred Dame and others brought suits, injunction. Who empaneled?
The suspended Chief Justice.
She had no interest in her own matter?
But she was not on the panel.
No, but, I mean, look, empaneling involves picking and choosing.
Who to sit?
Yes. And you think she had no interest in that? Huh? Of course, there have been some decisions saying that the Chief Justice is the only person who can empanel and nobody if she's around. With hindsight, I think that those decisions have to be looked at again.
The paneling?
No, the fact that so long as the Chief Justice is in office, he or she must do the empanelment. Must be looked at again. Because, yes, they quote the provision that makes her the head of administration in the judiciary. But they overlook the introductory was subject to the provisions of this constitution.
Right.
It's not just you are the head of administration. And even if that subject were not there, it would be implied because, as I said, Article 1 and so forth, all powers are to be exercised in the interest and for the welfare of the people. Subject to that. So any step that detracts from that is unconstitutional. Now, so subject to the provisions, one of the provisions, Article 296, I think Clause B, is saying that all powers must be exercised with candor, transparency. That should affect the Chief Justice too. Her powers are not free from that article. And Ajechum, Datema, one of the best judges in this game, very brilliant man, he said that the Chief Justice and Parliament power were subject to that provision. And the others agreed with his view. So you see, some of these things, they don't look at them very, very carefully. But it's important. I'll stress some aspect about that before we...
Okay. Let me take you to the Ghana Bar Association.
Yes.
You went for a review,
yes.
A media meeting. You weren't there.
I mean, I'm not a member of the bar.
You are not a member of the Ghana Bar Association. That's
well,
interesting. I thought every lawyer is a member of the Bar Association.
It's technically somehow, but retired judges, if you say I'm a member of the bar, I should be entitled to go and practice law again. I'm not.
They came to some...
But technically I am.
Okay, abusunya we ne ensema ekoso our political highway so Chief Justice, former Chief Justice Atuguba and ababe plastic NPP minority over demonstration in support to Chief Justice Torkono abusunya enye asem keto akra yebra mase se mojepe ne kokoti sa oduno edimaya ha POG Media so bra mase